I've been trying to get on this idea of, okay, what if I just did less? Will my life actually fall apart? Will I suffer? No.
Yes. Oh.
Well, a little bit. I haven't played the new 007 game, and it looks pretty good, and I want to, so I am suffering a little bit there, for sure. I have to be in dumb Italy next week, and I won't be able to play this video game. Jason Schreier is, like, the reporter to be feared in the video games industry. Like, you be careful if you're actually talking to him, basically. He has been doing this YouTube channel where he'll just kind of talk about a topic, whether it's a general overarching topic or specific news. And he, in one episode, basically made a statement, made a point where he said he doesn't believe that greed is the right kind of term to use for the video game industry and the things like the what's the word I'm looking for? Where it's companies mergers, whatever.
Yeah,
mergers or studio shutdowns or all that. He doesn't believe that greed is the right kind of term to use for it because it's a machine and not a human, and he considers greed to be a human term. And I thought that was really interesting. It stood out to me in that episode, and in the next video he did, he brought it up. More people had disagreed with that, and he kind of expanded on and talked about kind of just the stock market and all that kind of stuff and business practices in general. But it really got me wondering, maybe we should talk about this. Can we use greed to talk about, we're going to keep it in the realm of the video game industry.
Right.
Can we use greed to talk about how these things operate? Is Xbox being greedy when they lay off 3,200 people? Or should we just say, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles because it's a business, it's a machine, that's how the machine works? Or is there some overlap there? And we were going to talk about that. Mm-hmm. And then Sony comes out with the big old bombshell of, hey, starting, I believe, January 2028, they will no longer be producing physical discs. This is for any game that will run, not even just their first party stuff. Any game that runs on the PlayStation 5, they will be digital only. There's some assumptions and some theorizing that means this is going to, they're going to do this kind of coincidentally with the PlayStation 6 launching, so that there will only be digital PS6s. That's not confirmed, but we saw that and we were like, well, this feels relevant to that conversation. Yeah. The idea of piracy is kind of being talked about a little bit, and the ethical norms regarding piracy. And so kind of that's what we want to talk about today, is that general realm, because especially the piracy thing, because that's been interesting for you.
Yes, it's been something I've been thinking about a lot. Oddly enough, because of One Piece. I've been reading a lot of One Piece lately because my son loves it and I love my son, and so I'm like, I'm gonna get into this.
Notice how you didn't say I love One Piece.
Let me be clear. For the first 50 volumes of One Piece, it was candy. It was some fun side read. It was great, whatever else. And then the Paramount War hit, which is an arc in One Piece.
Paramount Productions,
and I immediately am hooked.
Pirates.
It nice. So what has been kind of a background side thing throughout all of One Piece has been the basic premise of it is the 99% of the world is ocean. Mm-hmm. There's 1% of the world that is just islands that are kind of all over the place. And
right enough to know some of the things.
Well, yeah. And so on land, there's a pretty heavy oligarchy of just the elite rule. And if you are not the elite, you are heavily and extremely oppressed.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's why piracy is so huge. Piracy is a huge culture on this planet because you don't want to be a part of that garbage. So you get on a boat and you sail away to live on the ocean. And whenever you hit a town, for most of the towns, it's the oligarchy anyway. So you just raid it and you
sometimes
take
you're a big evil clown.
Right. Sometimes
named Buggy.
He's a doof. But where we are now, he's Raditz in where we are now in Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Buggy comes back?
Yeah.
Okay, dude, sure. I've only read the first couple volumes.
Buggy. But anyway, we're at an arc right now in which the Marines, which is the law, have decided We just need to make an example that pirates are not going to win. So they just pick a really popular pirate, pick him up and grab him and just say, cool, we're going to execute this guy.
Sure, yeah.
And just to make an example, he's broken laws. I'm sure he has.
Yeah,
you know
whatever.
what I mean? And this unifies a ton of pirates.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Shocking.
So anyway, all this to say that when there are things happening that exist only to better an oligarchical elite.
If the authority is doing something unjust.
If the authority is unjust, is then piracy just?
Does it justify a technically unjust response?
And so if somebody is saying to you, you will pay me $60 for permission to play my video game.
Yeah.
When in reality, it is a product that for decades of past has been, you can pay me $60 and own this video game.
Sure.
Now they want to remove ownership from you. Now they are like literally removing from you the possibility to own this product. Is piracy then just?
Yeah.
And so it's legitimately a question I'm wrestling with right now as Christians. Obviously,
it's a big thing.
Yeah, it's illegal.
Right.
Full stop.
It is. Yeah,
illegal.
that is the the undeniable part of it is that it is illegal. Let's kind of start at the beginning though of what kind of the evolution of our conversation. Greed is a moral concept.
Yes.
You'd agree?
Yeah.
It is something. I mean, it's not purely scriptural. That greed is a term used outside of that, of course, but greed does exist biblically. It's preached against and talked about a lot. Steve, as our resident theologian, can you give us a general idea of how is the concept of greed discussed in Scripture?
Yeah, so
obviously we can't go through the entirety of Scripture, but in general,
right.
Yeah.
So every single time greed is used in the Bible, here we go. Let's list them all. No, just kidding.
Sit tight.
So something that the Bible does really, really well is make distinctions between wanting things, having things, and taking things. There is our sinful nature is discussed a lot. We are not guilty because of a sinful nature. We are guilty because we give into a sinful nature. Ooh. We fall prey to it, and we all are going to. I'm not going to say we can't help it. We can help it, but also it is inevitable.
We have been shown that it's possible not to, but it's statistically speaking, impossible.
It's inevitable. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So but on the other side, having things, there's something wrong with that. God himself is often described in metaphor as a rich young ruler or a
having the cattle on 1,000 hills.
Yeah, cattle on 1,000 hills. And then there's Joseph of Arimathea, who historically we've known was a very wealthy man. He gave his tomb to Jesus to be buried in, and that tomb was a very extravagant, large one that was only owned by the higher class. And yet, here's Jesus, or even when the woman pours oil on the feet of Jesus. Yeah. And Judas is like, that money could have been used to give to poor people
it's
or whatever.
It's pretty significant that it's Judas saying
I know, right? And so, but the reality is that Judas isn't wrong, right? That money could have been used to give to poor people or whatever else.
Yes.
But
what
Jesus is saying, but what Jesus says is hey, you don't know what's happening. The glory that's being given here, the way that we glorify God is also important. So all this to say that having is not necessarily bad either.
Yeah.
It's what we do with what we have that is important.
Right. In fact, God blesses people. His people with wealth.
Crazy
wealth.
Absolutely.
Think Job. He takes it away and then gives it back tenfold.
And Solomon, gives
right,
wealth.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to be clear, not in a prosperity gospel way.
No. It is something that they do receive, but yes, it's not a formula.
But what has been set apart is how we obtain it and why we obtain it.
Okay.
The motives and means in which we do these things. When we are oppressing other people to gain this, that is wrong. That when our gain comes at the expense of other people, in reality, our gain should be to the benefit of the people around us.
Right.
We can be wealthy, but if we're wealthy because if we're wealthy, that proves that we're probably very wise with our finances, and maybe those around us are not wise with our finances.
Maybe.
And therefore, well, again, these are the example of
These
the way it's
could be
supposed to work
examples.
here.
Yes.
The way
Sorry.
it's supposed to work is we are wealthy because we are wise with our finances, and then
Yes.
we can help those
That's
around us
the
who
hope.
have not been,
Yes.
and who are struggling in whatever way. And so that's not bad. But when we are doing it to the expense of other people, that is wrong. And if we are doing it exclusively for our own gain, again, it's not bad to gain or even to want gain. It's not bad to want to live a comfortable life. That's not bad or sinful or anything like that. But if we're doing it exclusively because of that, if I am gaining for no other reason than saying I don't want to have to work, I want to have to do as little as possible, that's when problems come in. So
Sure.
that's where things complicate here.
Yes.
Because as Jason Schreier was saying, so much of business today is non-emotional.
It's structurally
Yeah.
comprised of the effort to create wealth.
But it does it on its own. Like there usually is not a single mustache twirling person.
You're right. You're right.
You know, diving into dollars like Scrooge McDuck.
The part where I'll disagree is that, yes, you're right. It doesn't do it on its own, but it's not like the concept of the market system sprang out of nothingness at the moment of the creation of the universe.
Right.
It is a human directed system.
Yes.
The ways, the choices we make are what decide what is valuable, what creates wealth, what is the guiding principle of investing or whatever. But I agree. Like it's not as if there's one person saying now it's greedy, now it's not.
Right.
Deciding those
You know,
things.
the famous movie quote of Gordon Gekko is, greed, for lack of a better term, is a good thing. And his whole point being that when we are wanting to go gain more out there, it benefits our company, which benefits the employees, which benefits everything and whatever else.
Sure.
And that's just kind of the way we've established things. It's one of the reasons that I'll defend capitalism oftentimes, because we are just bad at it. Like, we've set it up to an oligarchical extent that the way that we have capitalism here is something that ends up oppressing a lower class and doing so within a cycle, and it really sucks. And
Which is why social democracy is
if you're the majority, yeah, that'd be great for minorities. Maybe not so much, but
I'm just saying, you just said that the system we have set up is benefiting
the way
rich.
that we have capitalism set up.
Yeah.
I think we need to rethink the way that we do
Socialism,
capitalism.
this is a different
It is a different conversation.
It is a different
Socialism
discussion.
is a benefit for the social majority. If you are not the social majority, especially within a melting pot of a country, it becomes real complicated then. But
it's a different discussion.
so, anyway, all this to say that we have established our companies in a way that they want to be successful. And so they just kind of work in a way, like Jason Schreier was talking about, how when a company goes public, it's not just one person anymore. It's tons of investors that are all out there, making decisions together or whatever else.
Well, yeah.
And so is greed the right term?
I think where the kind of fulcrum of how we decide, for me, is, you said we've set up our businesses to we set up the system to want to be successful, and the definition of successful is the term there.
Yeah,
because I agree that it's like let's say it's like a 4-stroke engine, 4-cycle engine. It is just a system that was invented a long time ago and has basically been used in almost every single vehicle for now. What's it been, like 125 years that we've had like the standard car? I mean, I obviously don't know the specifics about when the 4-stroke engine, but it's just kind of the standard system. But that system was designed to use fossil fuels, and it would feel weird to say, well, that's just how it is, so I guess we have to keep burning fossil fuels. When in reality, we know that there is a problem with that. We need to look for alternatives. And so now we have like electric battery powered cars and other versions, better, more efficient, fuels and things like hybrid cars, things like that. We have set up a system that for a very long time, the operating term of the what success is a line that always goes up, on your numbers have to constantly always go up at as high a rate as humanly possible, as high, as much money as possible has been the
Has been the
success
goal.
rate, which leads to, I would say, a lot of the ills of the gaming industry.
Exactly. Yes,
It
that I
leads,
agree with. Yep.
it leads to mass layoffs. It leads to relying on things like AI, which leads to environmental degradation. It leads to things like creative output being wasted because you spent 6 years making a game that, because you were chasing a trend at 6 years ago, when it comes out, it's high guard and it dies in a month.
It's high guard, yeah. That's a great
Yeah,
example, yeah.
right. Like, the game itself might not be bad, but because you were specifically chasing a trend and putting so much money into it, that it just fell apart.
Yep.
And now all of that wonderful creative output that genuine artists wanted to do or put time and effort into making is gone and dead. And these kind of human things, like needing to pay rent and things like that, are now difficult, and it leads to suffering. And so I have a hard time with the concept of greed not being the right word, because if the system suffered because, like, greed, the system doesn't just hurt the system itself when it doesn't work.
Yes.
It hurts human people.
Yes.
And so I think it's fair to use what Jason Schreier describes as a human term like greed to call it. It's a greedy system that then affects the human beings that have made the system.
Yes.
That support the system.
But I think where I struggle with that, I actually agree with everything you say, but in your description, who is greedy? The system is greedy. We can't point our fingers at anybody. Like, we can't.
I think we can. I think we can point our fingers at the board of directors of a company. I think we can point our fingers at the executives of a company who have decided your number one goal at Xbox is to make the line go up as fast as possible, instead of saying, hey, let's make the line go up, maybe not as fast as possible, but in a way that means we don't have to fire 3,200 people, or in a way that doesn't degrade the planet through unethical technological systems that we use, or doesn't shut down creative studios that we purchased and promised a life of, like, there are decisions being made to do things
right
that the system can't do on its own. AI, like, it's like our conversation about AI. AI is a system. It's a thing that is always directed. And it'd be like saying, no, it's the AI itself that's the problem, when without human interaction, it just sits there and does nothing.
My struggle is the alternative. And I'm certain there's a middle ground here. I don't know what it would be. Maybe there isn't. Maybe I'm lying to myself. But my point being that if you were to say, okay, we are actually going to sacrifice the line going up, and we're going to have the line maybe even still go up, but just go up at a slower, more moderate way, and not do all of these very unethical things. But then you lose your investors who have been giving you millions, if not billions of dollars, are now saying, hey, you're not making my line go up that much anymore, so I'm putting my money somewhere else. And then your customers realize you are now putting out a lesser product than you used to be. And your customers, who don't care what you're doing behind the scenes, let's be clear, you and I are probably the minority in video game purchasing. The majority are going to see game, buy game, and that's all they really care about. Is game
actually
good, is game bad?
Statistically, we've learned that majority of people, you and I, buy a lot more games than most people
that's
do.
True, actually.
Most people, and I don't know if it's because of environmental or ethical reasons, but I think it's mostly pricing reasons. But we tend to buy more games than most people do.
But my point is, the majority of income they are getting is probably from people just buying games. People just want to buy games, and they care if the game is good or not. And now these people are seeing, no, their games are not as good as they used to be. I'm going to buy from somebody else. And so now you have less investors, and now you have less customers. And now you have this studio over here that's put out 3 flops in a row.
Sure.
And yes, they're artists. And yes, they're making art. And maybe they're making good art, but we are giving them money, and they are not returning any of that at all. In fact, we are exclusively giving them. They are returning less than we are giving. What do you do? Like you can't just. And so the alternative there is, and this is why I'm saying, like, it's hard to point fingers at individuals here, because that's just the way the system is set up, where sure, it'd be wonderful if Xbox or Sony or whatever went out there and said, we are exclusively doing things ethically from now on.
Yeah.
And here's how we are doing it. But if that line does not go up at a certain rate, if it starts to dip, that dip's going to become a cascade.
Oh, sure. No, it's going to fold in on itself. And I would
Right.
say that's a direct result of people having greedy intentions.
But that's
There's-
many people.
I-
That's
look,
society.
Yeah. I mean, we don't disagree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'd say it's a core issue of humanity that we are unwilling to move slow or unwilling to go with less than we possibly could.
A million percent. Yes.
There is an aspect of there's a relatively new thing in the realm of investment called ESG investing, environmental, social, and governance.
monosudoglutamate investing.
Yep.
Where you want things to be really delicious.
When you want it to be just extra flavorful and demonized in the 90s.
ESG investing, go ahead.
Because of racism. ESG, environmental, social, and governance. It's basically looking at investing and trying to choose companies that are specifically using ethical, functioning ethically in the way that they treat the environment, in the way that they treat social issues, in the way that they treat their employees in their governance. And it is by nature, as you might imagine, less profitable if you are specifically investing in those kinds of companies, because it's taken into account. It's like the idea of chocolate. Chocolate, if you don't know, is a very large driver of modern day slavery. The growing and harvesting of cacao.
Chocolate and coffee both.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
because they're extremely popular.
Yeah.
So when you look for ethically made chocolate or coffee, expect to pay a lot more money, like double or triple for more money. I would say it's also usually better chocolate,
Yes.
higher quality, so you're
Yes.
going to get a good trade-off. And it just, the problem comes when we're asking people to go with less than they're used to. I wouldn't even say it's less than we're used to. I have been trying to teach myself this idea, trying to change my viewpoint, my tendencies over the last couple of years of, I used to, there are other aspects of, like, I have a kid now, don't have the same time, and I don't have the same income, like money to spend, because I stopped doing some things. But there was a time where if there was a game I was remotely interested in, I would say 40% interested in, I'd put it on my list of games I'm going to buy this year. And I would play. You can go back to our channel, our old YouTube channel, and see if there was a big game coming out that year, I would probably play it. If it was in any realm of something I'm interested in. And now it's, okay, I have to plan with a much smaller amount of money. And also, I'm not going to play probably most of the games that I would like to play. And I'm not trying to say that I'm very privileged in this place where, like we said, I play a lot more games than most people when they launch. But I've been trying to get on this idea of, okay, what if I just did less? Will my life actually fall apart? Will I suffer? No.
Yes. Oh.
Well, a little bit. I haven't played the new 007 game, and it looks pretty good, and I want to, so I am suffering a little bit there, for sure. I have to be in dumb Italy next week, and I won't be able to play this video game. My life is terrible.
I'm sure James Bond goes to Italy sometimes.
And I understand where you're coming from. I agree with you. I get it. Like, it is a system. I can't necessarily point at the system and say it's all wrong, because I understand that there are other, like, the alternative would be it feels like a problem too big to handle. It's a problem on the scale of, I mean, I'm not trying to say it's equal to sin, but the idea of regulation, rules, things like these don't change people's hearts. That is an internal change. And so when we point at the system, we're pointing at something kind of entirely different than the
Yeah.
idea of heart change, because this is a human made system of rules and regulations versus a person's internal spiritual being, you
Yeah.
know?